something that we discussed earlier. It's, of course, there are all these dates and all these reports and all these systems you need to do. I think that in itself is quite easy. I think that's quite, it's a step-by-step process that we follow, that it's quite similar to what our European company follows. But what's really, really important is establishing a culture internally in terms of compliance. And that doesn't go only for data privacy. I think that goes for most things. If you have that right culture internally, that we're always trying to be compliant and we're mindful of not only data privacy again, but all things. Most of the other things will come naturally. This again is I think the most difficult part, because you need to spread it. Today we have over 8,000 employees, and all of them, one way or the other, plays a role in this. The reporting, the systems, it's limited to a few people and a few functions. It's easy to control relatively. It's going to take some effort to build up. It's really getting that culture up with each and every one in the organization. And I think that's something we're working quite hard with.
Thank you, Annika. And I think for the other members of PFA, those who are actually at the front line facing the customers, usually those are people in the sales front. They are the ones who are really handling a lot of this very sensitive customer information. So the fact that across the board the compliance and then that spirit of compliance follows through is very, very important. I want to go back to the topic of borrowers. So you mentioned something about the borrowers. I think borrowers in general being a lot more savvy, because it's already 2018. A lot of them really worry about, as Chair Libor said, about hackers, about, especially when they're using tools online, about their information being somehow stolen and being somehow compromised. Of course, the banking industry has been been facing that threat of phishing and all of that. Is the consumer finance sector facing that same threat, or are we somehow shielded from that?
Oh yes, we take these threats very seriously. Each institution every year allocates a substantial amount of budget just to maintain and develop the necessary applications and software, to protect the data that they have. And every year they spend a lot, in other words. But as we have seen in the past, even Pentagon can be hacked. Even the Bank of New York, which is basically the central bank of New York, has been hacked. And these are institutions that handle very, very sensitive information. What is important is what we should do once we discover that our system has been hacked. It's very important what kind of reaction and what kind of procedures, policies and procedures we implement. Make sure that the damage is minimized, if ever. Hopefully not, but as I mentioned, very famous and very solid institutions have been hacked in the past. So we don't discount that possibility. Okay.
Thank you.